Johns Award. It's for the outstanding contribution to the art and craft of cinema projection. And in this case, we're going to have Guy Hawley of Dolby, who's actually going to read the citation in this respect. I think it's timely because this is, in a sense, a bit of a Dolby moment, shall we call it. I used to work for Kodak, and there was a thing called Kodak moments, but there we go. But however, that's as they say, history. I think it's sad to comment that Guy and Chris Connett will actually be leaving Dolby in the next week or so. And we thank you indeed for the support personally that you've given, and obviously that the company has given to the cinema industry. And you reassured me this morning, Guy, that things will carry on. But on a personal level, to say thank you, Chris, I saw around somewhere, and we wish you all, indeed, we wish you all the best, indeed, in whatever happens to you in the future. Anyway, let's move on in the sense of asking Guy to step forward and give the citation for the Frank Little-Johns Award.
It's another Kermode epic, I'm afraid, another full-pager. Growing up in the Somerset town of Shepton Mallet, Michael Denner has always had a love of cinema and was involved with community cinema almost before the name was coined. Over the years, he has also shown the remarkable talent of being able to carry out a full-time job for several employers. I'll make a note of that. Keeping them happy while still finding the time to indulge his passion for all things cinema. After 5 years as an electronics engineer for Thorn EMI, he became a cinema installations engineer at Cinema Supply and Design, now long gone, where he had the opportunity to learn his trade and develop the skills which have made him such a useful contributor to our industry. He joined Dolby as a cinema applications engineer, and 22 years later is still in demand as the guy you would be happy to entrust to ensure that everything is perfect for your film premiere. From the late 1970s, Michael was running children's film shows in Shepton Mallet and Glastonbury for the Children's World charity. Some of the people also there worked at the Glastonbury Festival, and so in 1982 he went along to lend a hand. The cinema was in a 100-foot marquee, which he thought looked as if it were more suited to garden parties. And he recalls that the back half of the marquee had chairs, whilst the front half had matting on the floor for people to sit on. The projectors were 16mm Bell & Howell TQ3s, and the tent handily had poles all down the middle, limiting the throw and the picture size. Over the years, he became more and more involved and was given the title Cinema Field Coordinator, probably with the emphasis on field, and has overseen many, many technical advances. 1985 saw the change from 16 to 35mm using old Westar 2001 on a Western Electric soundhead from the late 1930s. 1989 saw the introduction of the open-air screen, as the cinema tent's popularity had now outgrown even the largest of marquees, with a 32-foot wide screen. Michael has a long experience of practical problems. They had to post a 24-hour guard of field stewards in the cinema area to stop campers pitching tents right in front of the screen. They had to cope with the aftermath of fires destroying the screen, high winds blowing another one away, and crowds rioting when their films were interrupted. 1990 saw the introduction of Dolby Stereo to the open-air cinema, and in 1994, the new screen, now 56 feet wide by 24 foot high, was the biggest 35mm screen in the country. Dolby Digital Sound was also introduced to Glastonbury in 1994, and in recent years Michael oversaw the change to digital projection, which in 2009 featured the first ever 3D film screenings to take place at a music festival anywhere in the world. He pioneered laser shows between the shows, and so we eagerly await news of the first Glastonbury laser projected film sometime in the near future. And it's not only Glastonbury, of course. Michael has also been responsible for movie projection at major and minor festivals in the UK and Ireland. He's also respected around the European cinema circles for his invaluable contribution to the technical setup at both Cannes, Venice and many other film festivals. Michael is well known in the business for his outstanding work for Dolby. Although based at Royal Wootton Bassett in Wiltshire, he works at cinemas around the world with late nights and early mornings to ensure that the projection and sound is in the best possible working order for premieres and for special occasions. Several of the distributors here today have good reason to thank him for saving the show, ensuring that their important premieres have gone ahead in spite of last-minute glitches that we all know can so easily occur. Preparation and attention to detail is a major secret of Michael's success. His planning for Glastonbury starts months in advance, which is why we never see him between February and May. And he always turns up with a full toolkit and full details of all the equipment he's likely to be dealing with. And he has the happy knack of appearing to be totally unfazed by sometimes the oddest of issues that present themselves always at the last minute. As long as he is fed with enough crisps and biscuits, Mike's genius and lateral thinking are legendary. Tom, I think you've got some crisps in case, yeah, here we go. Because we need to maneuver him up to the stage and shine here. He was part of the team that covered the Abu Dhabi's Emirates Palace Hotel Theatre into a full 3D digital cinema within 6 hours from midnight. And this was to host James Cameron, Carlos Saldana of Ice Age and Rio fame. Someone's ringing to congratulate him already. And Jim Giannopoulos of 20th Century Fox. And you don't get much more high pressure than that. He's also been known to dismantle and rebuild a digital cinema projector in order to get more light out of it than it was ever designed to produce, in order to save the day with an otherwise dark 3D presentation. Mike going that extra mile is what defines his attitude, the task in hand, and the extra mile that he defines, what he follows, is a unique solution that is unmatched by others in the field. As an example, here's a personal note from Paul Lawrence, casting his mind back to his work with Mike when Paul was with Paramount UIP. Mike has been a rock of support across the globe, offering the best in technical expertise and support for some of the trickiest premieres ever to hit the screen. In addition to this is his famed appetite for all things theatrical. His appetite for all things culinary come only a close second. He has been one of the best wingmen I've ever had the pleasure of touring with, knowing that together we will box ourselves out of any tricky corner. I can't thank Mike enough for his time in Australia with me building a cinema in the Sydney Opera House, which included modifying the air conditioning in the booth, and then to Korea, where troubles were boiling just across the border, to Dublin on Angela's Ashes, where Mike, out of concerns on the time frame we had to work, actually had a stash of biscuits, Walker's shortcake no less, stolen from the British Midland Lounge in case you had no time for fish and chips. What a pro. I've toured the globe with Mike, visiting too many countries and events to mention, all of which have been a success story. I'm only sorry that I was asked for just a few words, because I could have filled a vault with the memories. Many, many congratulations to the man called IC, and thanks too for the memories. Final page. Closer to home, those of us involved with the CTC projection training courses know him as a patient chap who comes in and does late night full sound and picture checks on the auditorium that we'll be using the next day, making sure that the many faults that he inevitably finds with dead amplifiers and speaker cones in the average screen that we use for our courses. In more recent times, he has taken on full technical and operational responsibility for digital presentation courses, controlling the projection equipment from the auditorium whilst putting up with the technical demands of our lecture team, patiently explaining why we can't do what seemed like a good idea the night before in the bar, and then sorting out the alternative ways of doing what is needed. The Frank Littlejohns Award is given to recognise outstanding work in the art and craft of cinema projection. Michael Denner fits this description exactly, as many of his industry friends will agree. So it's with the greatest of pleasure that Michael is presented with the Frank Littlejohns Award for 2014.
Can you do a pose? And again. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I don't know what to say.
Probably not saying that the Michael's not working.
Thank you very much. I don't really know what to say. It was totally unexpected that I was being put forward for this, and well, thank you very much to the CTC committee and everybody else. Thank you.
Crisps on that?